Hey students, this is lesson 615, and we're going to learn how to use the midpoint formula today. Here's the idea that we are given any two coordinates on the coordinate plane, and we can find a point exactly halfway between those 2 points. So this is called the midpoint formula. Don't get it confused with the distance formula. So here's just a picture of what it looks like. So we have a point here and a point here, and we're looking for M, which we're going to call the midpoint. So, and if you notice, this distance here and this distance here would be equal if it is the midpoint. So, and how do you find that point? All right. Well, I'll come back to this page and we'll pick a couple problems as an example. But what I want to do is show you. Here's the formula. I want to show you where that comes from. So just let's put a couple points on here. Say right there is a good spot, maybe right there. And then I'm just going to connect those two lines, connect those 2 points with a line. And somewhere right exactly in the middle of those two, and I'm thinking it's about right there, is the midpoint. Now what we want to know are what are the coordinates of that? What is the x coordinate? What is the y coordinate for that midpoint? And here's our justification. If we look at this point right here, each of those points, they have coordinates. One of them is 2, 6, the other is 8, 3. And that 2 corresponds to the x-axis, so that's right here, 2. And the 8 corresponds to the x-axis. Well, look at this axis, the x-axis, and you'll notice that 5 is exactly halfway between those. So I'm thinking that the midpoint is at 5. And then if we do the same thing using the y coordinates, we'll see that 3 is where this point is on the y-axis, and this point is at 6. So let's think about what's halfway between 3 and 6. And I think that would be 4.5. So that's the midpoint. If you're given a graph, you can find it that way. You can't always put the points on a graph, though. Sometimes the values are too large. So the formula kind of helps. But here's why the formula works. Think about what we just did there. We found the number exactly halfway between 2 and 8. And what that is the arithmetic average of those 2 points, 2 and 8. If we do 2 plus 8 and divide that by 2, we get 5. I'm using M because it's a midpoint. And that's exactly what our coordinate was for the midpoint. So we found the average of the 2 x coordinates. And so all we did was, if we use our same subscript that we did for the distance formula, all we did was add the 2 x coordinates together and then divided it by 2. So that made sense. All right, now for the y coordinate, we did the same thing. We found the point halfway between 3 and 6, which is really the mean of those two numbers, their arithmetic mean, or average, if you will. So all we need to do there is the same thing. We need to add 3 plus 6, or 6 plus 3, and divide that by 2. So find the average of those y coordinates. 6 plus 3 is 9, divided by 2 is 4.5. So for the y coordinate, we just took our 2 y values, added them together, and divided by 2. Well, that's the midpoint formula. So really, it's just finding the average of the x coordinates and the average of the y coordinates. And that gives you the midpoint. So let's go back and try that. So, well, we have it written down here. We don't need to write it down again. But what I'm going to do is, for number 1, we're going to do that together. I'm going to put my plus sign there, comma, plus there, and now I need, for this part of it, I need 2 x coordinates to add together. So for number 1, I'm going to add -1 and 11. And then for the y coordinates, I'm going to add 3 plus negative 2. And all I'm going to do is simplify those. And my midpoint is negative 1 plus 11 is 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3 plus negative 2 is 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. All right, now let's just check that on coordinate grid since I can, see if that's correct. So my points were negative 1, 3, and I just want to keep this. So get a new page here, paste that in. Let's just check that on coordinate grid and see if it looks like our answer was correct. And our answer was 5 and 1/2. So let's get a graph here. This kind. All right. So here's our graph. Let's place those 2 points on there. That's not going to work. All right, so our point, negative 1, 3, that's right there. And then 11, negative 2 is right there. And we're hoping that we got the point exactly halfway between them. Well, let's just check that. So from there to there, that is 10 units. So we need to move over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right there. And that looks pretty good there. Our answer was, counting wrong there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six units puts us right there at the point 5, 1/2. And that does look like it's halfway between this distance and this distance. All right. So that's the midpoint formula. And you can go ahead and practice a couple more problems. We'll do the rest in the class tomorrow.